Welcome to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. In this episode, we speak openly and honestly about difficult truths. My guest shares her lived experience in the hope of creating change, awareness, and understanding. These are real stories, raw, unfiltered, and deeply human. This episode comes with a trigger warning, and it is not intended for young audiences. Listener discretion is advised, as it contains discussions of child sexual abuse and may be distressing to some listeners. If you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to Lifeline on 131114 or the Blue Knot Foundation on 1300 657 380 for specialist trauma counselling and support. Take care when listening. Today, I'm joined by someone truly remarkable. Her name is Jenni Tarrant. She's the powerhouse behind Bond Hair Religion in Canberra and the founder of Tarrant Foundation, which is all about helping others heal. But Jenni's story goes much deeper than her success. She's a survivor of child sexual abuse, something that no one should ever have to go through. And her journey of recovery and self-discovery is nothing short of inspiring. Through years of hard work, inner healing, and a lot of courage, Jenni has turned her pain into purpose. In this conversation, she opens up about the challenges, the breakthroughs, the lessons she's learned along the way, and how she found a way not to just survive, but to truly thrive. Welcome, Jenni.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone.
I met Jenni years ago at a Braveheart gala, and I didn't know anybody. And I just gravitated toward your energy with my little glass of champagne and we just chatterboxed.
We did.
And you just opened up to me, and I've never, ever forgotten you or your story. It got me in the guts, and I was just so proud of you as a woman to be able to speak your story so loudly. And that is one of the things that inspired me to push forward with the charity work I was doing, volunteer for Bravehearts.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't done one event, was invited to the gala, met you, and then I was like, this is it. Why not give back?
That's amazing.
If you can do something for others and it costs you nothing and it brings so much to people, why not?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the thing. It's like we've all got journeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we choose to do with that journey. I mean, mine has ended up with me having my own foundation and business, and the Tarrant Foundation is something that I have aimed for a very long time, and I've raised a lot of money for other charities over the last 10 years. So I've climbed Kilimanjaro and walked Kokoda, and I've done, you name it, I've done it, ridden a horse across Mongolia. I've had a whole week in the salon with my mouth taped around mental health. I've lived in my car at -7 degrees for 7 days out in the back dirty alley because 50-year-old women is the highest amount of people living in their cars at the moment. So that's, you know, all of those things. It's all also about experiencing and understanding what that's all about for a lot of people. You know, for me, I'm really comfortable talking about my past because it's also a great way for people to be educated and understand. And then for those that have actually been through similar things, it's just understanding that there's a lot of us out there and we're all just doing our very best.
And they feel seen. They'll hear you and they'll feel seen. And that's the other thing I love is there's no lip service. There's no lip service. So for instance, you raising funds, you're doing all of these things. You know, you're actively staying in your car for 7 days at -7?
Yeah, all I had was a sleeping bag and a pillow, $20 a day, and a few things. And I had a Holden Barina, so I'm nearly 6 foot tall, so it was very cramped, and I actually got like red frostbite on my cheeks from living out there. And then what I'd do is go to the public toilets, brush my teeth, you know, get myself ready, and then I'd work in the salon all day, and then I'd go back out, so no showers or anything. Because I wanted to understand what it was like to be somebody who was living in their car. You know, that experience, I learned so much. You know, I've always gone, and anybody who is living on the street, I always go up and I grab them a coffee or grab them something to eat. But it wasn't until I lived in the car did I realise all these people kept bringing blankets and leaving money under my windscreen wipers and all of that, which was so beautiful and kind. But the reality is they were doing it for me as Jenni Tarrant, but there's probably 10 cars parked down by Lake Burley Griffin that weren't getting it. So I made sure that I took all of those things and was very grateful, but I put them in my office so that I thought if I'm getting them and no one else is getting them, then that defeats the purpose. So one of the things I realized was all these people trying to do things to help me, but nobody ever asked me what I actually wanted. And all I wanted was someone to sit with me because I was lonely. So from that moment on, I made sure that every time I came across somebody who was living rough, I would sit with them and I'd say, what can I do for you? And, at the end of the day, so many people will say to me, oh, but what if they ask for a packet of smokes, or what if they ask for a bottle of grog? Or, I mean, who am I to judge? I've asked what they want. And can I say, I've never had anyone ask me that out of all the people that I sit down next to. I might be just walking along and I'll just sit down and say, hey, what can I do for you? And it's usually, can I get a jacket? I usually like to have like a sleeping bag and a jacket in the back of my car in winter. So it's super easy for me to grab. And if it's food, I'll just go into the supermarket and grab what they need. I mean, it's 5 minutes of my life, like it's nothing. So, the learnings from doing these things far outweigh the actual difficulty of doing them,
Did you feel unsafe?
Yeah, I felt quite scared. There was because, at night there's restaurants around and kids were kicking cans up the back alleys. And so, yeah, it was frightening. I was scared. I was there by myself. I was right next to a dumpster.
Can you
So,
imagine that being your reality? That is your reality.
yeah. Oh, awful, awful. And that's why
Imagine your cortisol levels. Imagine how your body is just tense and fearful. And
you can't sleep properly. I mean, it's cold. It's not like you can just jump out of the car and go to the toilet in the middle of the night.
No.
You have to think about everything, grab something to keep yourself safe to walk to the public toilet, in your PJs, or quickly change in the car, or, to make yourself safe.
And then, as you say, loneliness, because these ladies probably don't have a job like yourself to go to.
No. Or if they do, so many people don't know they're living rough in their cars,
Accurate.
because they have no super and their husband or partner, they're not together anymore. The kids have grown up, and so it's really tough for them. And one of the things is due to my past. I have chronic PTSD, depression and anxiety. And one of the things I did was make sure I didn't fill my scripts or anything before I got in the car. And by day 3, I'd run out of one of my medications. So I had 2 days without food to get $40 so I could buy my medication. And that was a huge wake up call for me too, because I was like, if I was living on the street every day and it was a choice of food or medication, I'd definitely go food. So no wonder so many people then fall into the trap where they go back into their mental health, or brain health, as I like to call it. I don't like the word mental. I like brain health because it's just an organ. It doesn't function properly. And that's why they spiral down into depression and whatever.
And perhaps they can't even get access to medication or a doctor.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. Well, it's so expensive even getting to a doctor.
So maybe a question for them would be like, yes, how can I help you? What can I give you? But also, if you could have anything, what would it be? And if it, I imagine they'll say a house. Connect them with. There
Absolutely.
are places like the Tarrant Foundation, which I'm yet to learn about, but there are places to connect people with. I used to work in a council ward office, and loads of people, homeless women or DV women, would come in and just be really vulnerable with me. And I would always sit them down, make them a cup of tea or a sandwich, sit with them, hear their story, and then connect them. There are places, some of them aren't great. Some of the charities aren't great, but they're there.
Yep.
But at least you've found them somewhere to stay that night.
Absolutely. Or able to sort of ring and book them an appointment at a local doctor's, or, and that may be not what they need. That might be what you think they need. And again, it's that being able to do it with an openness. If you're going to offer and they say something that goes against what you would think they need, then you need to really look at yourself and decide whether, is it about you or is it about them? And that's what giving's all about. It's about offering your assistance to somebody for whatever they need. There shouldn't be judgment attached. If there's judgment attached, don't do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as soon as you put a judgment on what they actually say to you, then you're not giving, you're telling. And that's a big difference. And that's something I really learnt through that experience. So I've had many, many, many experiences through the years doing these crazy things. Like I'm petrified of horses. So then I decided to, ride across Mongolia. And then, I think the first time I'd ever gone a day without a shower was when I did Kokoda. Like I'm not a hiker. That's not my jam at all. So, I make sure I put myself in a position where it's uncomfortable for me because I need to know and understand what people are going through. I mean, I've certainly got my share of things that I've gone through, but there are so many other people out there going through things that are so difficult. And, for me to truly understand it, I need to be in it.
Your
So,
heart is just open. And the key there was without judgment. So without judgment, you cannot step into somebody's experience without being in their experience. So you have no idea what they've gone through.
absolutely not.
And you cannot place judgment
Yep.
on somebody's decisions, what they look like, what their life is like. That's key.
Yeah.
So let's start with your life. So let's start a little bit with you, Jenni. Sure. So where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Okay, I was born in Newcastle. My dad was in the Air Force. He left home at 15 and was one of the last apprentices to join the Air Force in those days. They stopped taking them that young.
So it's Williamstown?
Yeah, yes. So we were there, and then we moved to Malaysia when I was 2.5 and my sister was 6 months old. So that was early 70s. So it was third world country. And I still have memories of that time. And then we moved from there to Wagga, where we had many years while Dad was at Forest Hill base there. And then we moved to Dad went to Papua New Guinea. It was really unsafe for families to be there, so he did a term there. And then we moved to Canberra, and Dad got out when I was 13.
Yeah.
So
he was an Air Force guy that whole time, and you just moved. Didn't move too much.
Not too much.
4 moves.
Yeah,
4 moves.
Not too bad.
Yeah, yeah. And then
the story. So from the age of 3 to 13, I was molested by an uncle and an aunt, who also had many of their friends involved. So these sort of things, again, warning for anybody who's gone through this sort of stuff if it triggers you. But I really like to be as honest as possible because, people have these bizarre ideas that, women aren't involved or women don't do that stuff, or this was men and women. I don't have full memories of everything because it would be very detrimental to me and my brain health to have a full recollection of everything. But, I've got enough to know that there were some pretty awful things that were happening. So at that same time, what would happen is my mum was extremely mentally unwell. My dad got cancer at 29.
So this is you, little 3-year-old right now? 3 years old. Okay.
So, and then my dad got cancer at 29 and was given 6 months to live. And my mum, what we didn't realise at the time was she was still struggling with her own mental health, and she was not in a good way. So what would happen is my uncle and aunt would ask if they could take my sister and I for every school holidays, so that mum can have a break. And that was when they did what they did. So, and then when I came home from being with them, mum was quite violent with me. So I think I was always determined from a young age, and I realised that I needed to be the protector for my sister, who was 2 years younger. So when all this stuff was happening, I know I would, say things like, do it to me, not my little sister, all of that sort of stuff. So I became quite the protector of my family. And because of that, I think mum really struggled with me. So on top of the continual screaming and yelling from a very young age, like we never got to play outside. We'd literally come home from school. We'd have to strip off. We'd get in the shower. Then we'd have to start scrubbing the house. She had chronic OCD. And to the point where we all used to sit on the floor and eat dinner because we didn't want to mess up the dining table. Like that was the sort of thing. So that was my childhood from 3 to 13.
Did you lose your father?
No. So Dad managed to survive through, they gave him cobalt radiation, which was a new treatment back then when he was 29, which then subsequently gave him, he's passed away just over a year ago from his 6th cancer. And subsequently he survived because of the cobalt radiation, but it completely destroyed his body. So basically what they didn't realise back then when he was 29 was that much radiation meant his insides were like being in a nuclear bomb site. So his body was riddled with polyps, which then led to another further 5 cancers. And he was recovering from the 5th one, 16 months in hospital. When they were about to clear him, they found liver cancer and they gave him 3 to 6 months and he passed away in 6 weeks. So that was just over a year ago. And for his anniversary, I walked from I walked from Red Hill in Canberra and I walked 100 kilometres over the mountains around Canberra in 22 and a half hours, and finished where he passed away. So, because he died just before his birthday. So we raised 32,000 for the Tarrant Foundation. So, which I'll get to, but yeah. So I only did that 6 weeks ago.
Did Mum and Dad stay together?
They did, yeah.
So through the eating on the floor, the coming home with the OCD, the scrubbing.
Yeah. My dad was a very shy and placid man.
Yeah.
And Mum, I mean, from the get-go, Mum told him that Dad was besotted with Mum. Mum's an ex-Catholic nun. Like, there's a backstory. Like, there's a book that can go back a few generations. But, and Mum told him from the get-go that she didn't love him. She just married him because she wanted to get out of, Mum was in a very toxic family where they were Dutch immigrants. My grandmother was extremely toxic. And, looking at the things that she chose to do and how she treated Mum, I 100% think that my grandmother was molested by her father from the stories. And the uncle who was molesting my sister and I actually molested my mother, and had friends come back and pack rape her and do all that sort of stuff. None of this came out until I was 20.
So we're talking generational cycles here.
Three generations.
Of abuse. And your mum, so when she would send you and your sister off for her break in the school holidays, when you would come back, I assume your behaviour was very different. Maybe you would tell your mum, do you think? Or your father?
It was difficult. They wouldn't, nobody would hear us.
Yeah.
Medically, my body wasn't right. The age of 7, I remember my mum taking me to a doctor because I came home and I had bleeding in my underwear. So Mum made a booking to get me into the doctor, and he wanted to have a look, and I started to scream because this man was trying to over my legs. So they called 2 nurses and Mum and held my legs apart while he examined me, and he said to Mum, does she do ballet or ride horses? And Mum said, yeah, she does ballet. And he said, well, that's why she doesn't have her hymen. So she must be getting a period. And I didn't get my period until I was 16 and a half.
The trauma I'm imagining in that specific situation packed on top of what you were already living, Jenni.
Yeah. So, there was lots of things like medically, these are the things I think that doctors and things search for now. Like I wouldn't want to pass a number 2.
Yeah.
And so
because
I was anally raped as well. So there was so much fear about passing that. So I would get really blocked up. I know this sounds like too much information, but I'm just going to be honest.
No, do the TMI. This is something that's reality.
It's the reality.
You and I discussed this earlier. Yep. This is happening right now with children right now
100%.
Who are going to listen to this episode, or adults who this has happened to.
Yep.
This is important.
So, of course, the doctor says they need to put suppositories. So, I have some of my memories as a kid was clawing at the carpet while my parents were trying to put a suppository up my backside. So there was, and my reactions were just so over the top. Like, That's not normal,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Do you think your mum had an inkling of what was going on at the house?
I don't think so. I think she was so unwell, and in her, it wasn't until I was sort of 16 she finally went and got some therapy, and that's when it all came out about her brother and stuff like that. So
So had she suppressed that?
she had some basic memories, but she'd suppressed it. Yeah. I mean, with my sister and I, we were both, it wasn't until I was 20, and my sister was 18 that we started to get visions. I had no idea. Like at 17, 18, I was so proud of my virginity. I was really comfortable sort of talking about how I was, saving it for the right person. I had no friggin' idea. I had no idea that this
So
stuff had
you
happened.
your brain had protected you
Mhm.
completely.
Completely. Yeah, I was 100% unaware that like I've got a cigarette burn on my downstairs area, and I just thought it was a scar, you know, so you
Isn't our brain incredible? Trauma responsive, but also trauma protective.
100%, and that's why I still don't have 100%. Like I know enough.
Yeah.
I don't want to know
No, don't
anymore. I
need.
don't.
And what about the horse? I'm wondering if that is why you didn't like horses. When that doctor had said to you, does she do ballet or horses? Could that have been a trauma memory for you
Yeah,
now?
maybe,
Because no
maybe.
one saw through what was going on for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought of that. Maybe. They've always frightened me. So, yeah. But I rode one across Mongolia, so nothing's going to stop me.
No, clearly. I love this. I love this. Okay, so you protected your sister and she had no memory either.
No. So, both of us went through the same thing. We were in the same room
School holidays, every school holidays from 3 till
13
till 13. And how did you stop going there at 13?
because I got an apprenticeship at 14 in hairdressing. So, I often talk about how hairdressing saved my life because I think it would have continued. But I remained friends with these people.
The auntie and uncle?
Yeah, because I had no recollection that none of this had happened.
Were you actively trying not to go there on school holidays?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I know my parents weren't very wealthy,
Yeah.
and so my auntie would buy us all these colouring in books, and we'd be able to sit and watch cartoons and do all this stuff. And I had no idea that was part of the buying me
Do you
off.
think they were making money from this?
Look, I don't know. My sister knows that she went over there one time and they were burning photos in their back garden. So,
Of children?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I continue to be very close to my auntie and uncle because she was a hairdresser. And so I would go and help out on my day off in her salon in Bungadore.
And so she wasn't just neglecting to protect you, she was part of the
Mm,
abuse. She was an abuser.
mm.
And she wasn't born into that family
No, no. Yeah. Plus they're friends.
and their
So,
friends.
yeah.
Okay, so you're 13.
Yep.
You decide, I'd like a job.
Yep.
School holidays rolls around.
Yep.
You get an apprenticeship.
I got a job working late nights and all day Saturdays and full time on school holidays.
And did that stop your sister going?
It did. Yep. Yep. So that was it.
I have goosebumps. Okay. So now you are still attending school. You're probably in grade 8 or 9. You've
Yep.
got this part-time job. You've got no memory of the past.
No.
Life goes on for Jenni. Life goes on.
Yeah. So I mean, I was a very withdrawn, odd looking kid. I was this height at 13, so I was quite tall, flat chested, no hips, none of that. That didn't happen until much later. My mum used to cut my hair. Our clothing was usually from St. Vincent de Paul. So I was that kid, so I got bullied and all of that. And then when I started in hairdressing, I started learning about makeup and hair and all of that sort of stuff.
Buying your own clothes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd get $10 a week for working those hours. And so I could start saving up for a pair of Fabergé jeans, which were very cool back then. So, yeah, once I got those, they were like the greatest thing I'd ever owned. And
How much were they?
I don't know. I think they were about $80 back then. So it was 8 weeks of work to save up for a pair of jeans. But I just thought I was the duck's guts. So, so that was, So life just went on. I mean, Mum was still, still rageful. We still lived in a house that was full of rage. A lot of the time, if she did strike out, she'd strike out at my dad or my sister. So I'd then jump on her back and trying to stop her and make her hit me instead, So I became this sort of protector in the family because I wanted to protect Dad and I wanted to protect my sister.
And you would have been physically larger than her, taller?
Yeah, she's 5'5".
Yeah, so you were physically taller and then you continued that protection, but now of Dad as well.
Yep. Very early on, as far as the world knew, we lived in this perfect little white picket fence life, and I loved my parents very much. And
did friends come over?
Not often. No, that was just, I was in fear because if they touched something or they sat on my bed or
crumbed,
it would just be like the weeks of drama afterwards just wasn't worth
and
it.
back in those days, also, I guess women who were, your mum's a different story again. Women didn't have access to probably medications to support them. Again, your mum was different already. I know that a lot of women these days have access to what they didn't have in the 80s and 90s.
100%. And, I think Mum, her brain health was not good after me being born and then after my sister. So I think that just multiplied over the years. And then with Dad being so ill and, all of that. And she did have a good life in Malaysia. But then when we moved to Wagga, it was completely different. And she
Isolated.
just basically went down the tubes. And that's when she was just so full of rage. Like they'd be screaming all day, every day, And, we'd have to stand at our doors every morning and every single crease had to be out of the doona. And if it wasn't, she'd just, punch me and then make me go and rip it off and do it again. Jules once had a shoe that wasn't perfect, so she picked it up and threw it and it made a hole in the wall. So, there was a lot of that happening.
A lot of violence. And so when and how did the memories come back to you? What was that moment?
Okay, so I met this gorgeous man called Stuart, who's my husband. We've been together 38 years.
We love Stuart.
Yeah. And so starting to become physical with Stu brought all this.
So holding hands, kissing was all right?
Yeah. But anything more than that, I just started to get these absurd, gross images with smell and stuff like that. And I really thought I was losing my mind.
So you would be in the moment.
Yeah.
And then you would physically shut down, close, scream. What did you do?
I would cry.
Yeah.
And curl up into it. And for someone like my poor husband, as far as he knew, I was a virgin because I was very proud to tell him that. I think it took us 6 months before anything happened. And, it was quite surreal. So I really thought I was losing my mind. I thought because of what I was feeling and what I was seeing in my head, I really thought like I was mentally in such a terrible place.
A psychosis.
And I was like just thinking about and seeing these images and it was just making me think that I was some psychopath or something. Like it was not good.
You could not integrate those thoughts with what your reality was at that time.
No.
And did you see faces? Did you recognize your auntie and uncle in those visions?
I could. Yeah, there's a couple of images that I have and there's a hallway light, there's the bedroom, there's this smell of coffee and cigarettes because they both smoked a lot and drank coffee. Yeah, so, yeah.
And then what did you do at that point?
So it was probably a few months and then Mum and Jules and I were sitting at Mum's house and we just watched something on Oprah, as you do.
This podcast is supported by our friends at ActiveFlex, the Australian pain-relieving gel designed for long-lasting relief for painful muscles and joints. Always read the label and follow the directions for use. If your symptoms persist, please seek advice from a healthcare professional. You can shop online at Chemist Warehouse or simply search ActiveFlex Gel.
So I would have been 19. My
19.
sister was 17, 19 or 20. Because I thought I was so perverted. I didn't want to tell anybody. I thought,
Yeah.
and I'd spent my whole life being able to put aside everything and walk out into the world like I owned it and
This
that I was
mask.
yeah.
It
So I
was
could do that. Yeah.
concrete.
So I could do it. I remember sitting around the table. We just watched something on Oprah, and I just
Do you
said
remember
to
the episode?
I can't remember, but it was something to do with I think it was
Sex abuse.
sex abuse.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I just said to my sister, I don't know what's going on, but I get this really weird visions and it's freaking me out. And I don't know if I need to go and see somebody because my sister was planning to study Bachelor of Social Science at uni. So, I just felt like I could have a conversation with her.
And Mum's still there though.
Mum was at the table and she just stopped and stared at me and she goes, oh my God, because she'd become sexually active with a partner as well. She said, oh my God, I'm having them too. It's at Jan and Renee's. And I said, yeah, it is. And that's when Mum went, what is it? And I just said to Mum, I think they did something to us. But again, in that, the brain is such a bizarre thing because I even had them at my wedding to my husband. 8 years after I'd been with my husband, I invited them because I was so embarrassed that maybe I was still making it up and it wasn't real.
Hang on, I thought you meant you had the visions. You had the physical humans.
I had them at my wedding.
At your wedding.
Yeah. Yep. Because it was my mother's brother and auntie, and I didn't want to make ruffles. I didn't want to cause dramas with the family. So all my uncles and aunts were there, and my grandmother, and I, what am I supposed to say if I don't invite them?
So at that point, you both had that realization. Did everything come flooding back, or is it still flood back now to Jenni?
Yeah, so it's just been bits and pieces, but
You know.
Yeah. And the bits and pieces that have come back are quite strong. And I do get smell and taste and stuff, which is quite weird, but that's all part of the PTSD.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's was such a weird thing for me to get my head around because I just had all this guilt and shame. So what I thought was they had done stuff to me, but I must have made it happen. So that's how I rationalized it. That's why I continued to see them. Not that anything was happening, but that's why I continued to see them because I thought I must have been the one that made it happen to me. And so they were like, it sounds so, excuse the expression, but fucked up. Like
you were victim blaming yourself.
That's right. Which
completely.
So many people do because they think, well, why would these people do this to me? I must have made them do something. I must be sick or unwell, or so it's easy to just go, okay, well, we'll put that over there, and then I'll just keep living my life and not ruffle any feathers.
Did Mum contact her brother?
No. From the moment that we told them about it, Dad was so horrified. Mum was horrified, but that's when she finally admitted to us that she'd been molested by him, and she herself thought that it was because of something she'd done. She didn't think that by sending us to him that he would do that to us. She had no concept that he would physically do that to us. She just thought, because her mother used to call her, a slut and all this, which is totally not right, because I think deep down she knew that it was happening to my mum. So she just couldn't stand my mum.
So the mum was possibly pushing the blame onto her, and that became her identity. That was her internal voice.
Yeah. So, it's quite the web.
Yeah.
But, at 16, Mum was going off her brain about something. I don't know. And very early on, even though I was so introverted and such a shy person, like if people would speak to me, I'd just blush because I just wanted to, being nearly 6 foot at 13 and then having all this baggage and all this stuff going on in my head, I just wanted to disappear.
Invisible.
Like that's what I wanted. I didn't want anyone to notice me. I didn't want to exist on the planet. I just wanted to float around and do my thing. And anyway, Mum, when I was 16, Mum was losing her shit about something. And so once again, it was me on the stool and, she'd be saying, you have to admit to this.
What does on the stool mean?
Oh, well, I'd be sat down and then she'd be, my sister and
berating.
My dad would be standing over there, and then she'd just berate me, and my sister and my dad would just be crying, saying, "Tell her you did it, just tell her you did it." And I don't know what it was, but I refused. I was like, no, I did not do that. When she'd have one of these 24-hour complete meltdowns, then we'd have to go in and stroke her face because she'd be crying in bed and tell her it was all our fault and that she was a great mum, and we'd have to. And so I think I just got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do that anymore.
This is fucked up. This is fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I would say, well, I didn't do it. And then I'd get the slap across the head, and I'd just keep getting the slap. And I just, I could take that part of me, that innocent little girl, and I could lock it. I could actually visually see me put it in a chest and wrap chains around it in a padlock. And I could just sit there and she could slap me for an hour and I wouldn't even cry, because I learnt how to completely disassociate myself. And anyway, when I was 16, she came in and she went to hit me, and I just lost it and smacked her back and just said, "You'll never touch me again." So I don't know, this determination that I have built into me was even from somebody who was so insecure and so shy and so quiet. It was like, no way.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. And so again, it was about, I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to protect myself.
Yeah.
So then because I'd hit her and she was so mortified and that was the first time I tried to commit suicide, because again, it was like, how could I hurt my mum? How could I hit my mum?
Your world fell apart. Yeah.
Like, how could I do that to her? All the things. But the good thing was, from that, she started to go and see a psychiatrist. And, as bizarre as it might sound, I have the most amazing relationship with my mother. We are great mates, and I absolutely adore the woman she is. Forgiveness and owning what you do.
And she owns it?
She owns it. Oh, my God.
How does she own it now?
She'll listen to this. She listens to everything.
And how will it make her feel?
She feels really sad. She feels really sad that she couldn't be this woman, but she's never used an excuse ever. She's always said, "I did that to you and I'm so sorry."
And perhaps now she's got the support that she needed and should have had at
Absolutely.
that time, through medication, through support, through mental health support, and that psychiatrist or psychologist.
Yep.
Well done, Mum. If you're listening, well done, Mum.
So
Not well done back then.
No.
Well done now.
The mother she is and has been for a very long time, and the incredible grandmother that she is to our children is outstanding. Like, she adores them and they adore her right back. And it's a gift for her to be able to have that because of how it was with us. And for her to be able to own it and for me to be able to forgive it takes two parties.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if she hadn't owned it, she wouldn't be in my life, and she knows that. And if she ever stepped back into even 1 foot across that line, I'd be gone. So she knows that too. I've always been very honest with her. Like, I love her and I forgive the choices that she made, but there'll always be part of me that will know that she didn't make the choice for me, because I've got exactly the same story and I made that choice for my son. So there's the difference. It's all about the choice. It's, do I choose to just strike out? Do I choose, or do I take a breath and go, this is my beautiful child?
Yeah.
And my anger and my issues are not going to be taken out on this beautiful human. So, I had no role model as a mum, because it was also, the 3 to 13, they're the formative years of your life when you make decisions about who you are as a human and what a family means and what all of those things mean. And I had none of that. And so, I've got a 28-year-old son. He's the light of my life. And I raised him without even thinking about hitting him once. We communicate well. He's fingers crossed. My sister and I have 3 children between the two of us, and as far as we're aware, none of them have been sexually abused and none of them have ever been hit or treated like we were. So we've hopefully broken the cycle. You
have broken the cycle. And what about auntie and uncle? Are they still in your life?
No, they moved up to Queensland many years ago, and that, being able to have that separation, and then with my grandmother passing away, I really got to own it And, my sister actually went and told the police about what had happened.
That was my next
Yeah,
question.
back then they sort of said, well, unfortunately, they live in Queensland. There's nothing we can do about it. If someone else could come forward, and she said, well, my sister's willing to come forward. And they said, well, it needs to be outside the family. So they wouldn't do anything. So
Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
walk
that
you
was-
down right now to this police station.
Yeah. So
We're in Queensland, guys.
that was, we're talking 20 years ago.
Doesn't matter. Do you think you're the only children they did it to?
I don't know. And
I would say no.
I would say no. That's a really hard one, because with everything I do to educate and talk about child sexual abuse and adult sexual abuse as well, I think I carry this guilt. But at the end of the day, I have to believe that we're all on our journey. I mean, the woman that I am today, as bizarre as it sounds, would not change a single thing, because I wouldn't be who I am today without it. The resilience and the determination and the love and the understanding and the empathy wouldn't be there without the story, and that's all it is now. It's a story. Like everything that I did from the moment that my mum no longer had control over me, the moment those people no longer had control of me, I could step into my own self. I could step into my own choices, my own belief, and make my life the way that I wanted it to be. Every time I allowed that to overcome my life, what I would picture is them continuing to do what they did to me, because that's the power. And if I let that power go, then I'm in control of me. I'm in control of my life and who I am. And for this very short time that I'm on this planet, I'm going to make it worth it, everything worth it, because I want to help and I want to make a difference. And when I go, if one person feels better about their world because I was in it, then I am blessed beyond belief. So that's, that's what I'm all about.
So what would you say to a child right now who's going through some kind of abuse, sexual, physical, mum is behaving the way, or dad is behaving the way you were raised? What would you say to that child now? What could and should they do now?
Absolutely. If you're old enough to grab a phone or you have a mobile phone, there is crisis support, Brave Hearts. There's so many people
Kids
out there.
Helpline,
Kids Helpline, police. At school, they have people, counselors and all sorts of people now. They're trained to help you. If you say something to them, they can't ignore it. And if one does ignore it, go to someone else, because you need to let them know what's going on. Certainly, it is really hard in families to go to somebody else, because a lot of the time people can't comprehend that this could possibly be happening.
Yeah.
But if if you've got people at school.
So you're saying go outside of the family if you don't believe you'll be heard.
Go outside of the family.
And I think the other key is don't stop telling people.
No, tell people.
Like even if there's a threat, I will do this and this and this. If you tell anybody, you still need to tell somebody.
Tell.
Yeah.
So many doctors now, so many people in schools are trained in this area. It is so much better than it used to be. So tell and keep telling. And if people laugh at you or don't believe you, just keep telling, because that is your reality and you need to be heard.
Yeah.
So, just do it for you. Do it for the little person in there that's still screaming to have a happy, joyful life,
And the other thing that's important is as well, and I have this from two different friends growing up, two of them opened up to me as a child about being molested. And they said, please don't tell anyone. So I didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this and you've been told, you do need to tell somebody.
You do need to tell someone. The reason they say don't tell somebody is because of their shame.
Their fear.
I remember doing that too, even as in my later teens, to girlfriends saying, I've realised that something weird's happening, and and they just go, oh, I don't know, and walk away. Or
yeah, I didn't tell anybody. One was by her cousin, and we were about grade 4, and that was for years, she told me. And one was in high school, and that was by sister's boyfriend,
right,
I believe.
Yeah, you've got to tell somebody.
Yeah.
And the shame or guilt that you feel thinking that you did something, that is not right. They are the perpetrator. You are the person that was traumatized.
Yeah.
I don't like saying victim because that's not how survivors aren't victims, they're survivors.
Mhm.
And so you're a survivor, you've got a story, you need to tell people to stop it for yourself.
100%. Tell me about how Tarrant Foundation was born.
Okay.
And then tell me what they do.
So the Tarrant Foundation was something that, because I'd raised so much money, I think over 300,000 for other charities. Thank you. So I realised that what I wanted was to start a charity where we gave goods and services, but no money changes hands. So if, for example, the domestic violence shelters in Canberra, there's 52 of them. If they need more blankets or sheets, they will contact the Tarrant Foundation. Of course, now I've got a board, so I have to speak to the board. And then what I do is I get online, I purchase the goods and I have it delivered directly to them. So we also have no fees on anything. My mum pays for all the bank fees. So every single cent that's donated goes directly to support those people in need.
Did you hear that, listeners? That's one of the biggest beefs I have with charity. That is the biggest beef I have with charity. I have worked in charity before. I've volunteered for charity before, and it is very consuming to me. In my thoughts is, where is most of this money going?
100%. Well, same with me. Like I figure if I'm donating money, I want it to go to the people, you know, and when you're
100%
getting
of it.
some glossy brochure and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't want
Or
that.
a car wrap.
That's right. Yeah, nothing like that in the Tarrant Foundation.
Yeah.
So basically, my mum has said that she will cover all the cost of the bills. I've covered all the cost of setting it up with solicitors' fees and everything straight out of my own pocket. Every single cent so far has gone to people in need. So we've got 10 people going through coaching for trauma. So we've got 5 children that are going through the kids code, and we've got 5 adults going through the pillar code, which is like life coaching, but it's we don't have to sit in our story. We have to see what we've brought from our story into our life moving forward and how that's causing issues within
So
that.
what do you mean the kids going through it? Are you saying you've got kid coaches?
No. So we've got adult coaches taking children through. Yeah, so we've got 5 children. Within the week of starting the Tarrant Foundation and the money we raised at the gala that I put on to launch it, which is also my 40 years in hairdressing, 3 young children witnessed their father hang himself, and they were severely traumatized. So we paid for coaching for them straight away, and we've just received letters back from the mum saying that their whole world's turned around. Yeah, so within a month of it happening, we were straight onto it and getting coaching for them.
So if someone wants to donate to the Tarrant Foundation, how can they do that?
You can get onto our website, thetarrantfoundation.org,
.org.
and there's a donate button.
Mhm.
You can donate once, you can, donate monthly, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We're happy to take it.
And if you wanted to get involved?
If you wanted to get involved at the moment, just let us know what you want to do and how you can help, because a lot of people want to raise money and go off and do things. So we're right there in your corner. I mean, we're certainly not going to supply you with stickers or banners or anything, because we don't want to invest 1 cent into anything. So all we do is can give you support and put it out over social media, because that costs nothing. Certainly we can do emails to people to let them know that you're doing things to raise funds. But yeah, as far as all the glitz and the glamour, I refuse to pay for any of that.
Beautiful. And is it Australia-wide? I know it's .org, but when you are perhaps giving the blankets or you're helping with shelters, things like this, is that Australia-wide?
Australia-wide, yep, 100%. So when you go into our website, you're able to go onto there and you'll find an area where you can actually fill out a document saying what you might need, what it will do. And with us, we look after homelessness, domestic violence, mental health, and child and adult sexual abuse. So some pretty big ones. And then what we do as a board, we then meet every 6 weeks, and we sit around with all the different things that come in. And then depending on whether it fits with the Tarrant Foundation or not, we'll then organise the goods and services.
Incredible. Do you know what? I feel like I might commit to you right now to putting on an event.
Oh, I'd love that so much.
I might commit to you right now. Should we shake on it?
Sure.
I haven't done I haven't done my events are called Hats for High Tea Garden Parties. And over the 7 years for Brave Hearts, we raised over $120,000.
Oh my gosh.
Over 7 years.
Wow,
it wasn't one event.
But still, that's insane.
I know,
That's
I'm always
insane.
disappointed. I'm always disappointed in the money raised. I'm never satisfied.
Oh, no, that's me too. You know,
I'm never satisfied.
That's me too.
So I haven't done one since my very best friend, one of my very best friends, moved away to Newcastle.
Okay.
And I said, when you come home, we'll do another one. I'm not doing it until you come back. But I'll probably get her to do it remotely with me and then come for the event.
Fantastic. I'll be here.
And I'm going to raise funds for the Tarrant Foundation.
Oh, that would be so amazing.
We just shook on it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
It's happening.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so great because my industry, hairdressing, I have been so fortunate because they have really backed me with the Tarrant Foundation. Mocha Publishing, who do the 3 big awards across beauty, barbering, and hairdressing, they've pledged to try and raise $250,000 for us in the next 12 months. You know, I've had so much support from my industry, but again, trying to get people outside the industry to know about who we are and what we're doing.
Let's say you get the
amazing.
quarter mil. What will you do with it?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, go.
Blankets, sheets, food, vouchers for women who, when they leave the domestic violence shelters, they can go and buy a pantry full of food. We will get coaching for as many people as we possibly can. We'll go out and make sure that the people who feed the homeless can actually have sleeping bags or whatever they need to be able to hand out to the homeless. I mean, anything that I can do that would make a difference would be just insane.
Can you get me on your board? I want to help.
Sure. Let me talk to the other board members. I'd love that.
Talk to them. Okay. So that's the Tarrant Foundation. It is going to be something that I will put a link up for this. Jenni, thank you. Thank you for being the woman that you are. I knew the moment I met you, like I said, your energy just to me, I was just drawn to you immediately. And then to hear your story then and to hear it now, it is so raw, it is so real, but it's reality.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people going through what I went through.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll often talk about it with my clients and people will say, oh, I've got nothing to complain about. And I always say to them, it doesn't matter what you've been through in life, whether you were bullied for a year at school or went through what I went through. Trauma's trauma.
Yeah.
And we need to feel heard and we need to feel safe and we need to forgive ourselves for the thought that we brought that upon us. You know that I was a very damaged kid who was vulnerable to these people and they took full advantage of it. But you know, here I am today, 56 years old. I've achieved some of the greatest things that I could have ever imagined. A little shy 14-year-old, you know, who entered a hair salon.
You've got an OAM.
I do, and I just shot for Australian Hairdresser of the Year. So,
hang on, what does OAM stand for?
Order of Australia.
So Jenni Tarrant is an OAM.
Yeah.
Okay, people, we're talking somebody who is just a phenomenal personality and is 56 and you just wait. I can just see what you're going to do in your future.
Oh, well, I've only got 4 years until I retire. And then the Tarrant Foundation is hoping to open a refuge in Cambodia because it's now the gateway to child sex trafficking. So I want to build a massive shelter where kids can come and women who are living on the street can come and be fed and cared for. And if they want to come and go, they can. It's certainly not an orphanage and it's not a space where they've got to be locked in, but they're going to be taught awesome things. And I plan to, from 60 to 65, making a massive difference to kids in Cambodia who are stuck on that terrible treadmill because it is, you know, it's so bad over there. Yeah. So lots to come, lots to do.
So much to come. And also, Jenni, one more thing is, if you're listening now and you were the perpetrator of your child's abuse or like Jenni's mum was unable to control her behaviours, own it.
100%.
Own it.
Own it. Own it, because that's the clearest way to forgiveness. Don't make excuses.
Don't make excuses.
Don't make excuses. My mum could have said, but I was really mentally unwell and da-da-da-da-da.
No doubt. No doubt she was.
But I'm really mentally unwell and I didn't do that. It was a choice.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, the woman she is today is because she owned it. She has never once used it as an excuse. She has owned it. She has loved us. I am so blessed to have the woman that I have in my life. Certainly the woman she was. Yep, okay, she wasn't a great human being back then, but I also do believe that I did know what it felt like to be loved. And I think that's also a real key for a lot of people who go through what I've been through and then their life maybe doesn't go along the path that mine has. I think because at some stage, I did feel very loved, and I was very close to my dad as well. And yeah, we have a great life, and I'm very blessed to be who I am and where I am. So
Imagine saying that after what you went through. I'm very blessed to be where I am. You're amazing. And like I said, if you are feeling guilt about something that you did in your life and it's hard to consolidate, get some counseling. Go and speak to someone. And that doesn't mean your child or whoever this was you hurt will forgive you. They don't need to forgive you,
no,
but you need to forgive yourself. And that means you need to
own it.
own it.
The first step to owning it is going and getting help for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Jenny.
No problems. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, guys. Please, look after you. You're the most important person on the planet.
Thanks for listening to Once Upon a Real Life with Belle. This episode was brought to you by Active Flex. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a comment. And if you loved this episode, go back and check out our previous conversations. There are so many stories you won't want to miss. Thanks again for listening.